So,
And I'm gonna mute myself
yeah, that's fine.
so you don't get my noise.
All right, so for today's mobility and movement, you are going to need a mat if you have one, so a yoga mat. If you don't have one, it's not a big deal. You could go on the floor or carpet or whatever. And then I would suggest having either a folded up towel or a firm pillow, because you may use it for certain positions just so that it's not so much stress on like knees, because we're going to be in a half kneeling position a little bit. So that's a good thing just to have in case. So we have a couple different parts of today's workout. We're going to be doing position. So you're going to start with a standing position. Then we're going to go into a hands and knees or a quadruped position. Then we're going to go into a regular kneeling, so on both knees or half kneeling. And then we'll go seated, and then we'll go lying. So it's basically we're working our way up, down towards the ground. So obviously we're going to start with our standing position. So you can come all the way up tall. We're going to stand up for here. We're going to start with and I'm going to be adjusting the camera slightly. So just bear with me on that. At least for this first part, just so we can see. But we're going to do basically a cross bent over trunk twist, right? But you're going to be reaching down towards your toes. So I'll kind of just turn this way. So I'm going to start with my arms out at my sides, fully locked out, legs are locked out. And all I'm going to do while keeping my arms as straight as possible is I'm going to rotate my torso and I'm going to reach downward towards my foot. So I'm trying to reach my toe as close as possible, and then you'll come up tall. So do like a 1 or 2 second pause at the floor. Reach down as far as you can, touch, and then back up. Okay, so we're going to do this 6 total times. So go all the way down and then back up, all the way down and back up. So it's 3 in each direction. So we just did 2 of them, so 6 total. Arms nice and straight, reach down and touch. So after our 6 here, we're now going to spread our feet. You're going to keep your arms all the way out. So your feet should be wider than your shoulders, okay? And now I want you to fold your body forward. So chin is going to be tucked, and I'm going to reach downward towards the floor and try to touch. So you want to bring your feet as wide as you can, so it should be somewhat easy to come down and be all the way kind of flat-handed to the ground. And you're going to sit here, and you're going to hold this for 1 minute. Okay, so the clock has started for that 1 minute, all the way down, and just breathe in this folded position. Okay, so hang out there for 1 second. We got about 20 seconds left. Stay nice and low. Everything's nice and rounded forward. Hands are flat if possible. Three, two, one, and relax. So we'll come back up tall. You can bring your feet back together. So we're gonna head down to the floor. So I'm gonna tilt down just a little bit. And we're gonna go into a hands and knees position or our quadruped position, okay? So all of these movements are gonna be timed. It'll be anywhere between 30 seconds, 60 seconds, and 90 seconds, okay? So for the remainder of our stuff, everything will be set as a time, or some things may have a couple reps to it, but most of the things are gonna be set for time, okay? So hands and knee position, we're gonna start off with our active frog, okay? So what you're gonna do is spread your knees out, right? You're gonna keep your feet on the floor, but I'm gonna lift up and be on my toes, so I don't wanna have my feet too flat. So I want you to stay on your toes. Your knees are gonna basically be at the edge of your mat if you have a mat, right? Or just as wide as you can make them. And all I'm gonna do here is push my hips back and then drop my head in between my arms. So I'm trying to push my butt towards my heels, my head in between my arms, and then I'll come forward and relax, okay? So we're gonna do this forward and back just for a full minute, all right? So whenever you're ready, you could start that. So keep your body nice and tight, but push your hips back, drop the head in between the arms, and then reset, okay? So try to do like a 1 second pause at the bottom. when I'm pressing back, and then come up and control. Okay, so a full minute through for our active frog. Remember to stay up onto your toes. So hips come back, chest lowers down, head goes through the arms. You got 30 seconds for this. Press all the way through, at least as far as you can go. We are going to be in another stretch, which will really hit the shoulders in a second. So if you can't go all the way down, that's okay. Not a big deal. So our last 10 seconds here for the frog. Forward and back. 3, 2, 1, and relax. So from our active frog, we're going to bring our knees together. Now I want you to put your feet flat up against the floor, and we're going to push our butt back like we're going to go into that frog position we were just at. So I'm going to push my hips back, and now I'm going to drop my head down towards the ground. So I want to put my head all the way on my mat, or as close to the floor as I can. You could use your pillow or your towel if you need to. Now from this position, we're going to take our hands. I'm going to put my elbows onto the floor, and I'm going to reach up towards my trap or towards my shoulder blades, okay? So I'm going to have my elbows pressing down, and my hands are resting up on my traps or up on my shoulders, and we're going to hold that position for 1 minute, okay? So this is called the armless prayer. Drop the head down, hands come behind, and you're just going to hold for the full minute. This is a good one to take some deep breaths. Just stay nice and relaxed. Don't get too tense. You should feel a good stretch in your triceps and also in your lats, right? As well as the shoulders. You got about 20 seconds to hold. Three, 2, 1. You're going to come up and relax. Good. So back to the hands and knees. So we're going to do our cat-cow or cat-camel. It's people call it all different types of things, but this is basically a nice back stretch. So it's going to focus on thoracic spine, so the top of the back and our lower back. So mid to lower, and then up at the top too. So the cat position, right? And this we're going to basically do for reps. So you're going to do 10 total, which I'll show you what counts as 1 rep. So 10 total for these. So we're going to come into the cat position first, which is basically I'm going to arch my back. I'm going to try to push my butt up, and my shoulder blades are kind of pulled back. My belly button is trying to push downward towards the floor. And then I'm going to exhale and kind of breathe out, and I'm going to push my spine up towards the ceiling and try to pull my belly button in as high as I can get it. So arms are fully locked out, really big push. And that counts as 1 rep. And then you'll go back down into your cat position. So full arch with that low back, and then press up into that big cow or camel position. That's your 2nd rep, okay? Instead of 10, let's do 5. 5 good ones. So there were 2, so you got 3 more left. So into that cat, press up, into the camel, back down into the cat, last 2, press up into the camel, last rep, bring it down into the cat, and press up, big exhale into the camel. So we'll go right into the next one, which is a variation of our T-spine rotation that we do in class, right? I'm going to take one hand, I'm going to bring it to behind my ear, or kind of resting just the back of my head. Now I'm going to start with my elbow kind of parallel with the floor, and I'm going to come downward, just point down for a second, and then I'm going to lift up, and I'm going to try to push and rotate as far as I can while keeping my arms straight, and then I'll come back to that relaxed starting position. So elbow down, so facing the floor, and then I'm going to lift up and press, hold for like 2 to 3 seconds at the top, and then relax and back down. Okay, so do this 3 more times. So elbow to the ground, then lift. Try to rotate as far as you can, and then relax down. Okay? 2 more times. Lift up, elbow. Back down, last time. All the way up, elbow, and back down. Good. So we're going to switch sides. Same thing. We're going to do 5 reps here. So elbow points to the floor first, and then you're going to lift up nice and big, as high as you can go. 2 to 3 second pause, and then relax. Lift up, elbow, and relax. 3 more times. All the way up. Make sure you're still breathing. Relax down. 2 more. Up. And relax. Last one. All the way up. And relax. Perfect. So, we're going to go into the thread the needle stretch, which in GOWOD mobility, they call it the crossed prayer position. But a lot of other places call it like a thread the needle type stretch. So I would scoot back a little bit on your mat if you can. You're going to go back into that similar prayer position, but except this time we're going to take one side, and I'm basically going to pass one arm through while my other arm is up in front of my body. So we'll kind of push our hips back, going towards the heels. Whatever side you want to start with, I'm going to start with my right arm, and I'm just going to bring it across, right? So underneath and across, and then I'm going to drop that arm or that shoulder as close to the floor as I can, and I'm just going to sit and rest my head on the ground. Okay, so you should feel this in your shoulders, your upper back, and we're going to hold here for a minute. Okay, so this is a full minute down on our thread the needle for one side. So nice and relaxed. Arm is touching the ground, your head is down on the ground. You can try to scoot your hips back a little bit. That may intensify the stretch, but we're just going to sit here and relax. Make sure you're breathing and stay relaxed. Don't get too tense in these positions. If something doesn't feel right, just kind of pull back a little bit. Don't go as far, don't go as low. We don't want to do more harm than good. We got 15 seconds, and then we're going to switch to our opposite side. 3, 2, 1. Bring yourself back up first. So back to hands and knees. Then we're going to switch sides. Opposite arm comes and passes through. Shoulder to the ground. Head is relaxed. 1 minute for our thread the needle or the crossed prayer, whichever one you want to call it. We have 30 seconds. Three, 2, 1. Come back up. Back to that hands and knees. We'll finish off with 1 minute of a down dog hold. Okay, so nothing fancy for this one. So lift up onto the toes. I'm going to reset the clock here. And I want you to lift yourself up, press through your arms, head comes through, legs are straight if they can be. And we're going to hold our down dog position for 1 full minute. So try to press away. If you got to bend your knees a little bit, that's okay. Just make sure your head is as far through your arms as possible. We have 20 seconds left in our down dog. 20 seconds. Three, two, one, and relax. Perfect. All right, take a second, grab a quick drink if you need it. Shake it out. We're going to go onto the floor back again. We're going to move into the half kneeling position. So we did all of our standing and quadruped, which is hands and knees movements. So we're going to move into some kneeling positions or partially kneeling positions and go from there. So we will start with our pigeon stretch. So this isn't necessarily kneeling, but it's a good one to kind of segue into that upper position. So with your legs, right, with the pigeon stretch, this is mainly a glute dominant stretch here, so you should be feeling it mostly in the glutes. So whatever side you want to start with, I'm going to go with my right side. I'm going to take my foot, I'm going to bring it up in front of my body. It does not have to be perfectly aligned across your torso. Most people can't do that. We don't have that well of flexibility. I know I don't. So I get it up as high as I possibly can. The back leg wants to be straight, so you're going to kind of scoot back. You're going to put your foot flat up against the ground. Knee and shin and everything are nice and straight line. And all you're going to do is drop down. Some people can't even go onto the elbows. If you can't, that's okay. Stay up on your hands. You should still feel stretch from this position. If you can make it down and kind of scoot forward onto the elbows, that's another way to kind of intensify the stretch. If you can go even further and kind of drop your head down towards the ground, that's another way to intensify the stretch, okay? So we're just going to sit here. We're going to do 60 seconds each side. So the clock has already been running. So we're about 15 seconds in on our first side. And you're just going to sit here, breathe. This is a good one. There is a way to do this stretch lifted on top of a box or a bench or something if you needed the assistance, which is the same position, right? This leg would be spread across the box or the bench, and the back leg would be, obviously you'd be standing, the back leg would be straight, and you just kind of lean downward towards your knee, right? But you should definitely be feeling this in the glutes. It's a pretty intense stretch, so like I said, if you got to lift up and come a little higher, you can do that also. We have 15 seconds left, then we're going to switch sides, and then we'll go into that true half kneeling position, but I wanted to hit this one first before we lift it up onto that. And good, so lift up back onto the hands, and we'll switch legs. So opposite leg is going to come across the body, other leg will come back. Same thing, drop down either onto the elbows or onto your hands, whatever you're more comfortable with, and we're going to sit into this stretch for another minute. All in the glutes here. Twenty seconds. Three, two, one, and relax. Good. So we'll lift back up. So I'll suggest going back to whatever leg you started with first. And now we're going to go into that half kneeling position. So have your towel or your pillow kind of close by in case you need it for your knee. Hopefully you won't, but it's just there just in case. So the half kneeling position, just like what we would do in class, lift up just a little bit. So that means One foot will be forward, one foot back. Whatever leg is back, the foot should be flat, right? So I don't really want you like up on your toe. Have that foot flat for this stuff in particular today. So this stretch in GOWOD. So if you're using GOWOD to do other things, you'll notice this stretch. This is called the night stretch, okay? So, but people will call it half kneeling or lizard position or something like that. So the night stretch, what we're gonna start with is just a hold, okay? And I'm gonna hold by leaning forward. So your knee is gonna be coming somewhat, the goal is to try to come past your toes in front. So I'm gonna lean forward, right? This foot should be staying nice and flat, and I'm just pressing all of my weight in towards that front foot or towards my toes from there. Now I'm gonna hold this for 45 seconds just on this one side. So just pressing and staying forward. What? I'm recording this, so go away. No, I'm serious, get out. Not right now. You need to go. Yeah, I'm serious. We got another 10 seconds here, and then we're gonna switch sides. So this we're holding for 45.
Are you talking?
3, 2, 1. We're gonna switch. Go. So switching the same thing on the opposite side. We're gonna go 45 seconds again. When you're ready, you can start. So pressing forward. Keep that front foot flat. You should feel this in the hips, right? It's a good hip stretch here. Try to stay tall and not necessarily bring your hands down just yet. We're going to be doing something with that afterwards. So just keep your hands kind of resting on your knee and let your hands press, right? Let your hands push forward. Ten more seconds here for this one. 3, 2, 1. Relax. Good. So we're going to go back to our starting side. Now, this time, we're going to add basically a additional movement to our night stretch. So instead of holding, we're going to press forward. We're going to come back and relax. And then we're going to do, actually, no, I lied. We're going to press forward, and then you're going to go into a stretch from that leaned in position, not from the relaxed position. Okay, so the stretch or the additional stretch is similar to our lunge twist arch, right? It's called the Samson stretch. So we're going to start from here. I'm going to lean inward, right? Lean forward, and then I take my arms and kind of lift up and rotate to the direction of my knee, right? So the direction of whatever leg is in front, and then I'll reset and then relax, okay? So it's drive forward, stretch up, then come down and relax and reset. So this we're gonna do 6 on each side, okay? So forward, stretch, hold at the top for like 2 to 3 seconds, and then reset from there, okay? So whenever you're ready, you can start. So we're gonna lean forward, and the hands come together, up and stretch and lean, 2 to 3 second hold, and then reset and relax. Same thing, lean forward, hands come together, up and hold, 2 to 3 seconds, and then relax. So 6 total. Lean, hands together, up and stretch. Lean forward together, up and stretch. Last one for this side. Lean forward, reach up, and stretch. Good. So from there, we're going to switch. Same idea on this side. Leaning forward with the torso, hands cross, and then we lift up. So same thing, 6 reps. You can go at your own pace for this. Make sure the foot that's in front is not lifting up, right? So you're keeping that heel pressed into the floor. Try to focus on the center of your foot, so the ball of your foot. Lift up and stretch. So 6 total. make sure you're leaning gently to the direction of that knee. Last one here. Lean, up, and stretch. Perfect. All right, so we're gonna come back down just for a second. We're basically gonna go back to the night stretch, and then we're gonna add a different element. So we did the night stretch into the Samson stretch, which was the twist and the arch at the top. Now we're gonna do the night stretch into a hamstring stretch. So I'll go back to my first side, whatever I started with. So leg comes forward. Now once I lean, right, I'm gonna do my regular night stretch forward. So lean in, but now as I come back, my hands are gonna come down and I'm gonna straighten my leg that comes in front. So I'm now gonna push my hips back and then straighten this leg, and you'll feel that hamstring stretch. So other hand is on the ground, and then you'll go back and then restart, okay? So it's gonna be lean forward, hands down, and then back into the hamstring stretch. And then come back forward, hands up, and then reset, okay? So same thing, let's do 6 of those on each side. So starting from that start position, lean forward, hands down to the ground, and then as I lean back, leg comes straight, grab the toe. And then I come back up and reset. Lean, hands down, grab the toe, hold just like we did for the Samson stretch, about 2 to 3 seconds, and then reset. So 3 more for this. Lean forward, grab the toe, and come back. Forward, grab the toe. I find that I have to have my back toes kind of touching the mat. Some of you may be able to do this flat-footed. It's actually kind of hard to balance with the foot flat. So if you find you kind of falling over a lot, try to lift your back toes up onto the mat and see if that makes a difference when you're in your hamstring stretch position, okay? So after you did your 6, same thing, we're gonna switch to our opposite side. So leaning forward, hands come down, then I'm gonna push my hips back, grab the toe, and straighten the leg. This should definitely be a solid hamstring stretch. Definitely hamstrings here. Lean, come back, grab the toe. Lean in, hands down, grab the toe. Inward, grab the toe. So once you've done your 6, I'm going to let you take a little break here before we go into our next position. So if you need a quick sip of water, you can get one. Then you're going to come back down and we're going to go on to both knees. So a tall kneeling position. Your knees might be a little bit rough right now. So if you need to use the towel or the pillow for the next 2 movements, you could do that. These ones we're not moving as much, so you'll be able to utilize that. So first one we're going to do is kind of get away from the legs for a second. We're going to go into a trap stretch. So I'm going to actually show this one from the back so that way you guys can actually see what it's supposed to look like. Trap / neck stretch here, especially for those of you who've been sitting at computers all day. Or sitting at your kitchen table or at a desk or whatever. This is a good one to kind of loosen up the shoulders because people tend to kind of be in that slouched over, rounded position. So it's good to kind of open up and let those neck muscles get a little break here. So I'm going to turn around to make sure that I'm as much in the camera as I can be. But you're going to go with both knees on the ground, right? So tall kneeling position. Now I'm going to start with one hand, right? So I'm going to bring it behind, and then I'm going to grab. So I'm going to try to grab up as high as I can. Obviously your flexibility will determine that, but wherever I grab, I'm going to pull. So I'm trying to pull down, so this is an active motion. Now whatever side I'm pulling on, you're going to lean to the opposite. So I'm trying to pull down my right arm, and I'm leaning to my left side with my head. Okay, you're going to hold this for 30 seconds. All right, so set yourself up here, grab whatever side is first, pull, and then lean the head to the side. You'll definitely feel your traps open up in this position. If you lean your head forward a little bit, you'll feel that kind of neck grab also. So just kind of find your way around this stretch, but have that good grip on your hand, pull downward, and then tilt. So we're going to switch to the other side. So same thing, grab the hand, so left hand, you're actively trying to pull, and then I'm going to turn or just kind of rotate my head or tilt slightly to the side. And I should feel my trap release and kind of loosen up and lengthen. That's what we're looking for. And we'll hold here. Three, two, one, and relax. Good. So a little break from the leg stuff that we're gonna go back to right now. So the next two are basically hip focused stretches. So the first one is a regular hip opener. The second one is a T hip opener, which you should be able to kind of figure out where the T will come from, which has something to do with our thoracic spine, okay? So the first one, back to our half kneeling position. I'll show with my mat just in case, or my towel, just in case somebody wants to see how it would look like. The towel would go under the knee that is staying planted into the ground. So half kneeling position, bottom knee is on the ground. Now I'm going to bring my hand, so the opposite hand is going to come to the floor. Now once I bring my hand down to the floor, I'm going to take the hand that's not doing anything, and all I'm going to do is push outward towards whatever wall is next to you or piece of furniture or whatever. But you're actively going to try to push away, and your flat foot, so the foot that's forward, is trying to stay flat the entire time. Okay, so find a way. Depending on how flexible your hips are, this should either feel really good, or you'll notice that you're really tight, or that you could sit here forever. I mean, it all depends on the person. I typically like to stretch, especially to open up the hips here. And we're holding this for a full minute, okay? So nice and controlled. You can try to push every couple seconds just to see if you can get further along. And let's put that clock back on. So we got our full minute to hold here. Same thing, even if your foot starts to lift a little bit, that's okay. Just try to keep it flat as much as possible. And we're just pressing out to the side and breathe. "30 seconds left." Three, two, one. Bring the leg back in. Hands down. We're going to switch sides. So same thing on our opposite sides. You've got to switch your towel over. Bring the other foot forward. So hands come down. Our hand comes down. And the other hand comes up, pressed up against that knee. I'm going to reset it for 1 minute. So press through. Keep the foot flat. Even if you lean forward slightly, similar to what we do in our night stretch, that's a good way to get a little extra feel on that. But try to push out, right? Drive out as far as we can, comfortably. Don't want anybody hurting themselves. breathe and stay relaxed. 30 seconds are in. You may find that one side is tighter than the other, or it seems like one side is harder or easier. That's very common. That's typically just a imbalance that needs to be addressed by doing stuff like this. So I know everybody gripes about doing mobility, but it will honestly make a huge difference in the things that we do in classes. So just getting into a habit of doing this stuff will help you in the long run. All right, relax. So that was the regular hip opener position. Now we're gonna go into the T hip opener or T hip opener. So this one, it's the same position as what we start with, but now I'm gonna go back to my first side. Knee comes down, leg comes forward, but now once I bring my hand, so the opposite hand to the floor, instead of pushing out with my opposite hand against my knee, what I'm going to do is I'm still going to press my knee out, so without the assistance, but now I'm going to try and rotate my torso and hold myself up, right? And reaching up towards the ceiling like our T-spine opener. So you're trying to do basically two things at once. Slightly push the knee out, right, without the assistance of your hand, and then also lift the hand up and hold in that top position, okay? So this one will hold for 45 seconds. So it's not a rep position. This is just a hold. So the clock is on, and I want you to breathe. So think about each spot. Think about locking the arm out that's pressed on the floor. Think about pushing the knee outward towards the side and the arm straight that is up towards the ceiling. Three, two, one, relax. You might have noticed you were shaking a little bit. I know I was, especially towards the end, trying to think about all those different pieces at once. So we're gonna switch sides again. This will be the last one for the hip stuff. So same thing on our opposite side here. Hand to the floor, knee is pushing outward, arm comes up, and we're gonna reach. So this will be 45 seconds on this hold. Clock is already going, so try to push, lift up, and hold. Fifteen seconds. 3, 2, 1, and relax. Perfect. So half kneeling stuff is all done. We're gonna head down into our seated position. So we get to sit down for our next couple ones. So butt's gonna come on the floor. You can do this one in like a butterfly position. We are gonna be coming here later on, but you could start here. You could do a crossed position if this is more comfortable for you, but we're gonna be doing a little upper body thing before we go into the other seated stuff. So the first one is, they call this in Gowad, it is a self-hug stretch, okay? So it's basically just that kind of pull or that wrap around where I'm trying to basically stretch your shoulder or your triceps and go from that position. So we're gonna do this for 60 seconds. So I'm gonna just take elbow of one hand, or my hand is gonna come up right against the elbow. And all I'm gonna do is pull. You could wrap your other hand around and you're just gonna hold it here. We're gonna do it for a minute. And just stay nice and relaxed in this one. Keep your head up, right? Don't like tuck inward or bring the chin down, and don't let your shoulders kind of shrug up. Keep everything nice and pressed down towards the ground and relaxed. So we're holding here for a minute and then we'll switch. We got about 20 seconds left for this one. You could try to pull a little bit more if you feel you got a little extra that you can kind of make across. But obviously, if it doesn't feel right, then don't continue to pull. Just keep it here and go from there. All right, let's switch. So same thing on our other side. Grab the elbow, wrap the hand around. You can try to kind of touch your shoulder blade or touch your traps in the back and stay up nice and tall. This is a good stretch to kind of take deep breaths, right? And just kind of relax into this stretch. Shouldn't be too intense. So you should be able to kind of focus on your breathing and calmness in this one. Three, two, one, and relax. Good. So you can kind of shake that out, do a couple shoulder circles, and go from there. So the fun one now is going into our 90-90 hip extension. So this one we have done in class. You've probably done it. I'm going to turn sideways just so it's a little easier to see. Both legs are going to be down in our 90-degree position, okay? So we're going to be doing 8 total reps, 4 basically in each direction. Obviously, if depending on your space, if you feel yourself kind of moving around, just readjust and bring yourself back to where you're comfortable, right? But you may shift or kind of move around just because that's the nature of this stretch. But the idea with this one, back to our hip focus, I typically start with the outside leg. So I'll take whatever leg is kind of pointing more towards the outside. I consider this inside. This one would be outside. So my right leg is going to lift up first. Your goal on this movement is to keep your feet in contact with the floor, your butt in contact with the floor, but not use your hands to assist you. Obviously, if you need to use your hands, that's not a big deal, but the goal, ultimate goal, is to be able to do it without your hand assistance. So I'm basically starting with my outside leg, so I'm going to lift this one up first, and then the other one is just going to kind of follow, and I'm just going to shift my weight, feet stay down on the ground, butt stays down, and then I finish in the opposite position, but my legs set up in the same way, okay? So that counts as 1 rep. Now you got to go back again, and then that'll count as 2. So we're going to do 8 total. So feet stay flat, cross, and then lift. If you have to spread your legs a little bit wider, that may help some of us, especially if we have really, really tight hips. So you can kind of not make your knee bend as much. And then obviously if you're able to have your tight knee position, that's just a way to intensify the stretch again, okay? So, but obviously we're trying to go side to side without the assistance. If you need to use your hand, right, we could put it behind us and you're basically still doing the same movement, but now I just have the hand to assist me to get me back to the other side. Okay, so once again, if you feel yourself moving, which I always move out of place with this particular stretch, but it's 8 total, 4 in each direction, okay? So once you finish that, so after your 8th one, you'll bring your legs forward and we're gonna go into that butterfly position now. So in the beginning, we could have started here, but now we're gonna go into that full butterfly. So feet are gonna be touching each other at the soles. My hands are going to be in one of 2 places. You have 2 options for this because now we're going to go into a back stretch, okay? So the back stretch obviously is to stretch out our back. It's going to be the full length, so it's lower body or lower back and upper back. You have 2 choices. You can either keep your hands in front of you like they are right now or your arms in front of you and just kind of lean down as far as you can go, or you can take your hands and wrap them under the leg, right? So I'm kind of coming underneath my legs. Now I'm going to grab my feet at the bottom. So from here, now I'm going to tuck my head and try to make myself as small as possible. That is a much more intense stretch than just the arms in front. So decide which one feels better And we're gonna hold this for a full 90 seconds, okay? So this is the long one, 90-second hold. I want you to focus on deep breathing, staying nice and relaxed, and just sit into the stretch and just focus, right? Don't think about how uncomfortable it is. Just try to focus on staying still and calm, okay? So the clock is already on, but we are holding this for a full 90 seconds. And obviously, if you have to switch positions, you can switch. You can come up a little bit higher if you need to, but try to get into that. You should feel this all the way up your back. So full length of our back, we should be feeling this stretch. Good one to focus on deep inhales and big exhales. Three, two, one. Come on up, nice and relaxed. Stretch it out. We are going to hold. We're going to bring the legs forward into just a regular seated position. So legs are going to come straight out in front. Nothing fancy for this one. We're going to go into a 1 minute forward fold. So similar to what we just did with the back stretch, but now we're going to have the legs straight. Obviously on this one, I want you to reach basically as far as you're comfortable, right? So some people can reach their toes. Some people can go really far down into the stretch. Some people can only reach their calf muscles or their ankles. Just walk your hands down as far as you can comfortably go. That's all I really care about, because you'll still get the effect of the stretch, okay? So feet are going to be together, legs are straight, as straight and touching the ground as possible, and you're just going to walk your hands out as far as we can comfortably go, just like I said, and tuck your head inward, just like we did for that back stretch, and we're going to hold for 1 minute. Thirty seconds left. Three, two, one, and relax. Now up from our forward fold, we're going to go into a piriformis stretch, or somewhat of a glute stretch. We're going to do this one for 60 seconds on each side. So from this straight leg position, pull forward whatever side that you want to start with. So I'll start with my right leg. You're going to bring it over across the other knee. And instead of kind of just pulling, right, where most people kind of tend to do, what I want you to do is try to lift your leg. So you're going to basically cross your hands across your knee. And now I want you to lift your leg up and pull it inward towards your chest, okay? That, you're going to end up feeling a pretty strong glute stretch with that pull upward, okay? So you're still coming across your body, but now you're trying to lift up and pull. So the clock is going for this one. We're going to do it for a minute. So on each side, so lift up, and obviously depending on your flexibility, you may be able to pull really, really far. Some of you may not be able to pull far at all. That's okay, but you want to still feel that stretch in your glutes and the side of your butt, right? Think of that side butt position, and just relax, right? Other leg is straight. Got another 20 seconds from here. We have one more stretch in the seated. No, I think this is the last one in our seated. And then we're going to lie down. Good. Straighten that other leg, and we'll switch to our other side. So lift up, pull the knee in towards the chest while still crossing the body. Thirty seconds. Three, two, one, and relax. Good. Both legs can come straight. We're going to finish off our last group, or our last bit of work on our back. So we're going to lie down flat, and we'll finish this off from here. So we got 3 stretches to go to the end. The first two we do in class all the time because they're basically just ground mobility movements. But these are good to do in a less dynamic motion, which would be the swinging back and forth, which we usually do in class. Whereas when we're doing a static hold, that does have its time and place. So we're going to utilize the same positions, but we're going to go in a static position versus the dynamic, okay? So I'm going to come down onto my back. The first one is our crossover, right? So except it's going to be a little bit more strict than just kind of swinging the leg over. What I want you to focus on, hands are going to be out to your side, so out to a T. You're going to lift whatever leg you want to start with. I always start with my right. Right, I'm going to bring it across my body, and then I'm going to grab my knee with my other hand. Now, when I grab my knee and I bring it down towards the floor, my shoulders should not be lifting up. So I'm trying to keep my opposite arm and my shoulders down in contact with the floor. So you want to stay down, and my head obviously is staying down on the ground. So pulling the knee over to the other side, but now you want to keep the shoulders as much in touch with the floor as possible. Okay, so we're going to sit here for a minute and just breathe through. This should feel pretty good, right? This is typically a pretty good stretch, especially if your back is a little tight. This is a great one to help loosen up. But the clock is running, so just relax into this position. If you can't touch your knee to the floor, that's okay. If you can, that's great. You've got pretty good flexibility as far as that. You got about 20 seconds left. Three, two, one, and relax. So we're going to come back to straight position. Arm goes back out. Now we're just going to switch sides. Same thing. Knee comes across. I'm going to grab with my hand, and my opposite shoulders, or my opposite shoulder and hand stay on the floor. My head stays down, and we'll hold here for another minute. Got another 20 seconds.
I'm already scratching my legs. I'm scratching them.
3, 2, 1, and relax. So our second to last, we are now going to flip over onto our belly like we would do our scorpion, right? So this one is basically the same movement we do in class, except like the crossover, we're going to do it in a static hold instead of the dynamic swinging of back and forth. So belly on the ground, arms out to a T just like we do in class, and same thing, you're going to lift up and reach, except obviously this time this hand can lift up off the ground and shoulder can lift up a little bit, but you should still feel that pretty intense stretch in your back, trying to reach that foot upward towards your opposite hand, okay? So hold it here. We're going to do 1 minute. You can relax your head on the ground if you want to. And we're just going to sit and breathe.
I need to show you one part where there's one person that has hilarious.
20 seconds.
There's only one part and one person.
3, 2, 1. We're going to switch. So right over to the other side. Same thing. Reach upward towards that hand. Head is relaxed. Arm and chest are down into the ground on the side that's getting the work. 1 minute hold.
Hilarious.
20 seconds. And we can relax. Good. So from here, you're going to go back onto your back for the last stretch. I'm just going to stay facing this way. Our final one is the ball. Okay, and that's what it's actually called in Gowad. So if you're looking it up, it's up there too. This one is basically just making our body into a ball position. We're going to hold it for a minute, and then we'll be all done. Okay, so knees are going to lift up. I'm going to wrap my hands around the knees, and I'm going to pull my knees inward to my chest. My head is on the ground, and you're just going to relax, right? Your lower back should be nice and flat up against the floor, and we're going to sit here. You can gently kind of rock side to side. That gives a little bit of an element of a slight lower back massage, right? And we'll go here, and we hold it for our last minute, and then you guys will be done for today. Most of these classes are going to be full body focused, so plan to do a little bit of everything. So lower body, upper body, hips, shoulders, back, neck, all that fun stuff, chest. So we got 30 seconds left. You can continue to rock, or you can just hold that final position just in that ball. Three, 2, 1, and we are done. That's it. You can take a second if you want to kind of spread out on the floor, arms and legs straight out and open, everything nice and relaxed. And we'll finish off from there. If you're ready to get up, you could get yourself back up and finish from there. So I will obviously be posting this up on Band for you guys. So thank you, Cassie, for joining me today. Don't worry, I'm going to yell at everybody who didn't show up today. But I am going to post this on Band so everybody can get it for later on. All right, but good job, Cass. Great work. All right, we'll see you later.